Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Codeine, and we back in this bitch today, you know what I'm saying, cooking up some shit for y'all. Today we cooking up a Pluggnb beat for y'all. Cook up, it looks, you know what I'm saying, like it's real complex, but it's really not, you know what I'm saying. Each part that you put on there is real life. It's just gonna add on to the next. You know, Pluggnb usually revolves around, you know, electric pianos, pads, electric guitars, you know, sounds and stuff like that, bells and stuff. So I'm gonna kind of, you know, break down, you know, my thought process and how I put this shit down, and let's get into it. So the first melody that I got is in Expand. The melody actually itself, or the sound itself, is actually in the polysynths category, and it's the digital fantasy, and it sounds like this. So the next sound that I added on top of that is also in Expand. I kind of just stacked both of these on top of each other so they could give kind of a groovy feeling, a real spacey feeling when you hear them together. And this is what they sound like together. This sound is a bell, and it's from Expand. It's called FM Bell Stack 2. Bell Stack, not 2, but this is what that sounds like with the other one. So the next thing that I got on there is also pretty simple. It's an XV5080. This plugin is real cool, and the sound that I used is the piccolo flute. It sounds like a lead kind of. With these Pluggnb beats, there's normally a bunch of leads that stack on top of each other, and they make just real beautiful melodic ass sounds. So in this case, this is what this lead sounds like with the other melodies. But yeah, next up, you know what I'm saying, I got one of my favorite parts for the beat, and it's actually this catchy lead. As you can tell, you know, when I throw that lead on top of there, it starts to give it a vibe. It starts to give it like a groove, you know what I'm saying? You can start nodding your head just with the lead and the melodies alone. And with these Pluggnb beats, that's something that you really want to try to focus on, is like the melodies kind of have to lead the beat, and then, you know, the drums and stuff kind of follow after. So the next thing that I have in there is another lead and expand. It's literally the same pattern. I just switched it up a little bit right here and added some variation. I dropped this note down, and just so it sounded a little bit different, this is what this sounds like. Yo, if you're not subscribed, nah, I'm just playing. Nah, don't do that. We love y'all, bro. Boy, if you don't. Nah, for real, go ahead and show some love and subscribe for sure. The next thing that we got on here is the drums, and obviously, you know, Pluggnb drums are real kind of cliche. They all kind of sound kind of like this. I found some hats in my packs, and I just kind of threw down a simple two-step. Easy hats. Sounds like this, just by itself. The next thing I added was the claps, and this is what this sounds like with the hats. Next, what I added was another clap, and I just layered that on top of the other clap, and this is what it sounds like. Next, what I added was a snare. I usually like to throw my snares kind of in between my claps to give it a groove. And this is what I came up kind of for that groove with this drum pattern. So the next thing that I used, that I added, was a snare, and this is what it sounds like. Next, what I added was a perk that you also hear a lot. I really fuck with the sound, so I personally add it to a lot of my beats, Pluggnb or not. This is what that sounds like in the pattern. Next, what I have another snare that I threw in there. This is what that sounds like. So as you can see, going down the playlist, you can see that my drums are really overlapping. This creates for a sound to kind of really keep the dry spots from the melody from really bleeding out, and it keeps, you know, the listener's ears always kind of ready for something next. The next thing I added on there was a perk, real simple perk. I just threw it in there one time. This is what that sounds like. All right, next I threw a shaker in there. I'll go ahead and let you listen to that. Next up, we got one more perk. This is what that perk sounds like. I added a couple effects, and this is what those sound like. This is what they sound like together. Next, what I added was the 808s finally. But this pattern honestly kind of just sounded good to my ears, and that's what you got to do. Just go with what sounds good with your ears, and kind of cook up, you know, whatever you're feeling. This is the pattern that I came up with. I found kind of a bouncy 808 that wasn't, you know, too harsh on the ears. I found something that was kind of subtle, but also hits kind of hard, especially with kicks. So this is what this sounds like. Pluggnb is sometimes you can break the rules and go ahead and drop an 808 out of key, or you know, a melody out of key, and it might sound good. So don't be afraid to, you know, go ahead and try out new stuff for sure. The last thing I added was a kick. Here's what the kick sounds like with the 808. Beat sounds like.